Most people think wealth is a destination you arrive at one day, like a city on a map. But I have learned over the years that wealth is not a place you go. It is a person you become. And the road to becoming that person is paved with two quiet virtues that rarely make headlines, but always make millionaires: discipline and patience. Let me tell you a story, because the best lessons in life are never delivered as instructions. They are lived, observed, and remembered. Many years ago, I met a man who worked harder than almost anyone I knew. He woke up before the sun, worked until the stars came out, and yet every year his financial situation stayed exactly the same. Same house, same bills, same worries, same dreams postponed to some imaginary future. One afternoon, as we sat on the tailgate of an old pickup truck, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "I don't understand it. I work hard. I show up every day, but money just never seems to stick around." Now that sentence right there has been spoken by millions of people across the world, and it sounds reasonable until you realize that hard work alone has never been the formula for wealth. You see, discipline is not about working harder. It is about working wiser. And patience is not about waiting. It is about staying consistent when results are invisible. Wealth does not respond to need, emotion, or effort alone. Wealth responds to habits practiced quietly over a long period of time. That is the formula most people never learn, because it doesn't feel exciting in the beginning, and it doesn't reward you quickly enough to satisfy the impatient mind. Let me take you back to a small farming town I once visited. There was an old farmer there who owned land most people thought was useless. Dry soil, stubborn ground, nothing special to look at. Year after year, while others complained about the weather, the market, or the government, this man followed the same routine. He woke early, tended his land carefully, invested in better seeds, repaired his tools, and never rushed the process. While others planted in a hurry, hoping for quick results, he planted with precision and waited with confidence. And every harvest season, his fields produced more than anyone else's. When asked his secret, he smiled and said, "I don't rush the soil, and I don't neglect it either." That is the wealth formula in disguise. Discipline is tending the soil every day, even when nothing seems to be happening. Patience is trusting the seasons, even when the ground looks empty. Most people fail financially not because they are incapable, but because they abandon discipline too soon and patience too early. They want the fruit without the roots, the harvest without the waiting, the reward without the process. I've seen people get excited about saving money for exactly 3 weeks. I've seen people start learning a skill for exactly 2 months. I've seen people invest in their growth until it becomes inconvenient, and then they stop, not because it doesn't work, but because it works too slowly for an undisciplined mind. Discipline is doing what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing it. And patience is allowing time to compound those actions into results. Here's where most people get confused. They believe discipline is punishment and patience is suffering. In reality, discipline is self-respect in action, and patience is faith applied daily. When you discipline yourself to read instead of scroll, to save instead of spend, to learn instead of complain, you are telling the future version of yourself that they matter. When you remain patient while others chase shortcuts, you are allowing compounding to work its quiet magic. Let me share another lesson that took me years to understand. Small disciplines repeated daily create results that appear miraculous to those who are not paying attention. Saving a small amount consistently does not feel powerful, but over years, it becomes freedom. Practicing a skill for an hour a day does not feel impressive, but over time, it becomes mastery. Improving yourself by 1% daily does not feel life-changing, but over a decade, it becomes transformation. The tragedy is that most people quit during the boring part, and the boring part is where wealth is actually built. Patience is especially misunderstood in today's world. People think patience means standing still. True patience means moving forward without immediate reward. It means showing up when nobody is clapping. It means planting seeds you may not personally harvest for years. Wealth favors those who can delay gratification, not those who chase instant pleasure. Every wealthy person I have ever studied understood this truth, whether they said it out loud or not. There is a simple question I often ask people who are struggling financially. I ask them, what small discipline are you avoiding today that your future depends on? Most people already know the answer. They know it's the budget they don't want to follow, the book they don't want to read, the skill they don't want to practice, the conversation they don't want to have. Discipline reveals itself in the smallest daily choices, not in dramatic moments. And patience reveals itself in how long you are willing to stay committed without evidence. The farmer does not dig up the seed every morning to check if it is growing. The investor does not panic every time the market moves. The disciplined person does not quit because progress is slow. They understand that time is either your greatest ally or your silent enemy, depending on how you use it. One of the greatest mistakes people make is overestimating what they can do in 1 year and underestimating what they can do in 10. Wealth is not built in explosions. It is built in layers, layer upon layer of disciplined action and patient endurance. And one day, people will look at your results and call it luck, not realizing they are staring at the compound interest of character. Let me tell you something important. Discipline without patience becomes frustration. Patience without discipline becomes wishful thinking. But when you combine the two, you create an unstoppable force. Discipline decides the direction. Patience determines the distance. Together, they form the formula for lasting wealth. I once heard someone say they would start saving once they made more money. That's like saying you'll start planting once you've harvested. Discipline must come before reward. Another said they would start investing in themselves once life slowed down. Life never slows down. Discipline creates order in chaos, and patience allows order to produce results. The moral of this story is simple but not easy. If you want wealth that lasts, you must become the kind of person who can handle it. And the person who can handle wealth is built through disciplined habits and patient consistency. You do not chase wealth. You attract it by who you become daily. So start small, but start today. Discipline yourself to do the simple things well. Be patient enough to let time do its work. Ignore the noise, resist the shortcuts, and trust the process. Because when discipline becomes your lifestyle and patience becomes your mindset, wealth stops being a mystery and starts becoming inevitable. And years from now, when someone asks you how you did it, you won't have a dramatic story about a lucky break. You'll simply smile and say, I showed up every day, I stayed disciplined, I stayed patient, and I let time do what it always does for those who respect it. That is the wealth formula, quietly working while the world looks elsewhere.